And when you've hit the bottom, you have nothing to fear,
Yeah.
right? 'Cause I've already been on the bottom. Pink
Yep.
thing about it. I've already seen the bottom. I have nothing to fear. And that's the truth. So if I can survive the bottom, what do I have to lose?
It's Thursday, April 13th. This is episode 275 of the Token CEO podcast. I'm Erika. I'm the CEO of Barstool Sports. Big thank you to Omega Accounting Solutions. They are our partner. They present this podcast and they are a huge champion of small businesses. So if you employed people during COVID, good for you. That's awesome. You had a pizza parlor, you made drinks, you had a newsletter, you had a media company. It doesn't really matter what you had. If you were good enough to employ people and stay in business, the government can help you. And all you have to do is to apply for a little something called the ERC, which is the Employee Retention Credit. You can get up to $26,000 back per employee through the Employee Retention Credit. And all you have to do is call 855-505-DAVE to be able to do it, or go to omegataxcredits.com/barstool sports now. Omega is a small business champion. They care about small businesses and they are tax experts and they can help you. We have Sandy Yawn with us today. Sandy Yawn's pretty fascinating. She's a captain in the yachting industry and she's currently the captain on Bravo's reality show Below Deck Mediterranean, which sounds pretty amazing. I loved her because she's a woman who's like seen it all, done it all, hit rock bottom and built herself back. And she talks about it in her book called Be the Calm or Be the Storm, Leadership Lessons from a Woman at the Helm. Let's talk to Sandy. All right. So, Sandy, welcome to our podcast. We're a big fan of you. I've been Googling you nonstop. You have had a life. Like, I love the cancer, the motorcycle accident, the addiction, the recovery, the boat captainship, the reality shows. Like, what makes you tick?
Honestly, I think I came out of my mom as an adventurer. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like an explorer. I just love life. Even through that, no matter what was in my way, it was like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I just love life. I love people. And
That's
I was a
awesome.
mess. So I didn't have direction, right? I don't blame my parents. They did the best they could. So now I have this different life that I changed because, you know, I hit a wall or
Yeah.
a car, a car or few.
As it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, as it happens. And I don't know, it was like a psychic change that happened where I was like, you know what? I don't want to live this way anymore. I want to change and then I got sober, go to meetings, have a sponsor, do that. And then they promised me a life beyond my wildest dreams and that's what I'm living. It's
That's
incredible.
amazing. So you've written a book called Be the Calm or Be the Storm. So give us, it sounds like in your life, you've been the storm. Now you're the calm. Are you going to be the storm again? Like, can you storm after you calm? But give us a sense of, obviously you've had incredible lessons and experiences in your life, but how does this play out in the book?
Honestly, I think in life, we all navigate the storms and we all want the calm. Everyone wants that peace of mind,
Yeah,
right? That chatter that's going on and that self talk. And it's learning how to balance that. Not always situations where you're in the corporate world or, in my case, on a boat when there's a disagreement. I always talk about diffusing things, but
mm-hmm.
in your mind, and I talk a lot about self leadership, and that starts with me. If I'm not balanced, how can I balance others?
Yeah, yep.
That's, yeah, exactly.
I think that's so interesting. So, do you, one, I love your life. I love that you were a mess. Like, I love that you describe yourself that way and you describe yourself as an adventurer. Like, I think one of the things that's so hard right now in life is that people want everything to be perfect. They want everything to be safe. They want everything to be predictable. I'm kind of in your camp where I think you have to experience stuff. Like, you have to know what too far is to know, and you also need to know what not far enough is, right? But no one's going to tell you either one. But do you think people are afraid to live the way you've lived? Like, you work with a lot of young people, but do you think people are afraid to live?
Yes, I think a lot of people are constrained by how they were raised, the mentality that, you're in this 9 to 5 job. You go home, you take care of your family, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you feel trapped and you feel like you're not following your dream. I have a nephew right now that's struggling. And I'm like, just decide, take action. What's the worst case scenario? Every time I take action, and it's a big decision, I always think, what's the worst case? I
Yeah.
fail at it, which really isn't a failure. It's a learning, or it succeeds, or maybe it succeeds beyond my
Yeah.
expectation, or
Yep.
maybe just to my expectation. And it's a risk. I'm a risk taker. I would rather be a risk taker than stay safe, because if you're always in those safe confines of life, in my opinion, there's no adventure.
Yeah, it's very boring. You talk about, the title of your book is about being a female boat captain. Like, like people say this to me all the time. They'll be like, oh, she's a female CEO, and it bugs the fucking shit out of me. Like, what does it matter that you're a female boat captain? Like,
So,
obviously you're rare.
I am a CEO of a company. So a yacht is worth millions, right? So some of these boats are worth over $100 million, and then you have lives on board. So yes, essentially, I am a CEO of a vessel, which
Definitely.
is the lives are in my hands, the crew, the safety,
Everything.
yes, of the boat. So yeah, I I have to. I'm accountable for money. I'm accountable to budgets. It's
Yeah.
this thing, I guess. And then also you're living and working together. And my magic is treat them like I want to be treated.
Yeah. Yeah.
The golden rule. That's all I do. It's so interesting. I was watching something last night and I was very kind to the crew member. Sometimes I don't think what I'm saying. I'm saying something because I don't want to destroy the person. But if some, I have to do that self leadership. Now, Sandy, is this effective? If you scream at them or if you belittle them, is it going to help you? No. What's going to help me in my situation? What's going to help them? Speak to them like a person. Speak to them. Yes, they know they've made a mistake, but also encourage them to change. And sometimes I have to fire them.
My cousin is a boat captain, and I have a lot of respect for boat captains because one, there's a lot you need to control at once. There's a huge amount of uncertainty. You don't control the waves, you don't control the weather. Talk about being a female boat captain. Like, are there more than there used to be? Are you still a freak of nature rarity? Like, talk a little bit
Yeah.
about being a woman in this.
I was just at a Palm Beach Boat Show, and we're in a deficit of 50,000 crew today. We need 50,000 crew today to crew these yachts,
Huh.
the globe. That's crazy. For me, yes, it's still a rarity. I don't know why. I'm thinking why, and this is a discussion I'm having with other female captains that are a handful. What do you think it is about women that thinks they cannot go out to sea? A lot of women have babies. They're not going to leave their families,
Yeah.
right? They have husbands. It's traditional. Women traditionally stay home with their children. They're not going
Yeah.
to have a baby and take off at sea. So women want to have families, and that's why, because we were talking about it. Like, what is it? And there's a very few of us that decide not to have children. In fact, I have a friend. She was my mentor. She was Paul Allen's captain. She ran a big boat called Medusa, and she chose to come home and have a child. She's no longer at
She
sea.
retired. Yep.
Yeah, well, she didn't really retire. She still has a license, but she
Yeah.
raising her kid, and that's the difference. So yes, if women want to have families, there are cases where you can travel with your family, but what kind of life is that for your child?
Yeah, that's
I
right.
would say that my friend Vicky's child speaks 5 languages at the age of,
I've been around the world how many times? All right, let's talk about shady rays. So shady rays, I don't know about you, but I lose sunglasses every 5 minutes. I can't get enough reading glasses, can't get enough sunglasses. What's awesome about Shady Rays is that they're an independent sunglasses company that offers world-class sunglasses that are just as good, if not better, than any expensive pair I've ever worn. So I have a desk of sunglasses. I have a drawer full of them. I've got Ray-Bans. I got all sorts of expensive ones. The ones I always grab are my Shady Rays because they're durable. I have the ones with the PMT logos on them, which I love. They're durable. They're perfect for outdoor activities, and they come at a price point that doesn't hurt your wallet. The other thing great about Shady Rays is that every pair is backed by lost and broken replacements. If you go to shadyrays.com and use code TOKEN, you can get 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. We'll go back to Sandy. Boat captains need sunglasses. Sandy probably wears Shady Rays. Is boat captain, like, the thing I like about work is I think that work is an apprenticeship. Like, you kind of learn on the job, and every situation that's thrown at you forces you to get the skills to be able that ultimately enable you to handle the next situation. Do you see your profession the same way? Do you see boat captainship as an apprenticeship?
Yes, absolutely. Hey, listen, I was again at the boat show. We were talking about how to fill these, 50,000 jobs plus. And so I created a charity to help get an in-school program for kids in high school to teach them about the maritime industry, because we need people and it is a real career. It's a sacrifice. You go to sea if you want those, but also there are local jobs like, you know, plumbers, carpenters, electricians, welders make 20% more in the industry.
Huh.
I don't know if I answered your question.
No,
Maybe
you did. That's it. That's so. Why is there a 50,000 person shortage? Is it that there's so many more boats?
yes. COVID, I
Wow.
think during COVID, everybody spent
Ah,
their kids' college fund and they decided to buy a boat because they thought it was Armageddon. And I
huh.
think we will see an influx of boats back on the market, but our industry went up 900%.
You're like the dog industry. Like, everybody got a dog or they got
Yes,
a boat. Like,
I
and now
got a dog and a boat.
a dog and a boat, and now there's nobody to staff the boats. That's super interesting.
Yeah. It's just crazy because first and foremost, Bravo's done a great thing by putting us on television and showing our industry to everyone in
Yeah.
middle America. You can have a job like you're in New York. You see the water all the time. There are boat jobs. People like in Missouri and these places, they have
Ah,
no idea this existed. Also, they showed that there's a whole travel section. Do you know in Europe, they'll say, how can you tell an American? And they'll say they speak one language.
100%.
Very interesting. You know what I mean? Hey,
100%.
let's not taking away from us, but we're one big country. Over in Europe, you can drive through 5 countries in one
Yeah,
day.
that's right. Yeah, that's right. That's
And Bravo's like, hey, listen, there is Croatia, there's Italy, there's people hear of it, but they don't think it's attainable. And it is. And I love that our show is doing that.
that's incredible. How is it being a reality star? Like, how do you feel about that?
At first it was fun. Now it's like a huge responsibility
Yeah.
that we have this platform. Obviously, people, political views, religious views, you don't really get to have any views.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't
Yeah,
get to
that's right.
have
You just need to
anything.
shut up and captain
Smackdown,
the boat.
smackdown, smackdown.
Yeah.
And it's like these lines you have to ride within, and I've never been that person.
Yeah.
I've never, I ride the line and
Yeah.
maybe catch it a little bit. So I've
Yeah.
had to learn to bite my tongue, to restrain from pen and tongue, and it's not easy. Although there are these fans that are incredible, and sometimes you're just walking through an airport and you don't have the energy,
Yeah.
but I feel like it's a responsibility that, hey, listen, you've been given this platform. They're excited. So show up for them.
Yeah.
They
You
show
get
up.
excited too.
Yeah.
Yep. That makes sense to me. And describe the book. Like, if you were, why would you read this book?
I'd read the book because I wrote the book because of the fans, but I wanted to do a leadership style book because so many people talk about where's your leadership book, but I wanted to do it in story form.
Yep.
And I would read the book because I wanted to see how much of a mess I used to be. Well, how did I transform? And then what is my skill set to be a leader? And that's in my book. Right now, we're writing a program where it's a workbook because
Yep.
people keep asking for that. Where it would be like a 6-week course.
Yep.
So I'm doing that. People are asking for it, and I'm thinking, why not? Because they want to hear from
Sure.
me, and so I'm going to do that because I feel like, when you just show up in life and one door opens, you just walk through it.
Yeah.
I talk
Yep.
about perseverance. I always say this to my crew on the boat. When it's smooth sailing, everybody's happy, all the provisions are showing up on time, the guests are nice, it's easy to do a good job. It's when the rough seas come, the provisions are late, you know, the chef burnt the bread.
Yeah. The people are assholes. That's when it's interesting.
Well, no, it's about how we show up.
Yeah.
Continue to be that presence to carry that. not shift your energy because they shift theirs.
Yeah. Yep. I think that's a great point. I think people forget that, like myself included, in that it's how you the only thing you can control is how you show up. And if you show up with energy and positivity and a willingness to solve things, like you'd be surprised. I think people are more inclined to follow that versus if you show up down in the dumps or citing only problems, like that's also contagious too.
Yes, exactly. I've years ago, this guy said to me, Sandy, if you hang around stinky people, like meaning like attitude, he goes, it's going to rub off on you and you're going to start stinking. He
Yeah,
goes, you want
I
to
think
smell
that's
good?
right.
Yeah. Or you want to stink? And I'm like, I want to smell good. He goes, then hang around those people. And I always
Yeah.
say, when you want to transform into something like, oh, in recovery, we say, be the example. Don't talk about it, be it, live it. And that attraction rather than promotion, right? So you don't talk about it, you attract it by your behavior. And that's really, it's like a behavior shift through a mental change. The behavior changes when you mentally change.
Yeah, I love that. I think you have so many great lessons, and I love that you're so honest about your life. Like, I think it's just refreshing. Like, I just think I think people right now are so afraid to fail, and which I understand. Like, I get that, but I love that you're like, yeah, I've tried it all, I've done it all, and you're still learning, and you're still doing, and you're still on that journey, which everybody is. We're all on the journey. It's just how you're on the journey.
And when you've hit the bottom, you have nothing to fear.
Yeah.
Right. So I've already been on the bottom.
Yeah.
King sings about it. I've already seen the bottom. I have nothing to fear. And that's the
Yeah.
truth. So if I can survive the bottom, what do I have to lose? And
Yeah.
that's what I think about. I always think about worst case scenario and take the risk. Sometimes it's bank account restraints. Sometimes it's personal friendship restraints. It's okay. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? That will pass. Just keep showing up for your own life.
I love that. Sandy, tell people where they can find you and where they can find the book.
The book's on Amazon. It's on, everywhere actually. Just Google Be the Calm or Be the Storm, buy the book. I did the audio version. And it's so funny because I'm so critical. We're critical of ourselves, right? And I'm like, man, I want to do that over. I really want to give it the energy, but I've had great feedback, which is great, but hopefully there'll be a second printing and I can redo the audio. So I'd love to know people's opinion of the audio.
That's great. And then are you on social media? Should people follow you?
Yeah. So Captain Sandy Yawn on Instagram, Twitter, it's all the same.
That's great. Thank you for doing this. We're so appreciative, and we will go out and get the book.
Thank you. Thank you for
All right.
having me.
Have a great day. See you later.
Thanks.
That's it for today's episode. Thank you for listening, and we will see you back here next week.